Hi everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Colorado. You're watching All Up in Your Business, where today we're going to go over some of the main benefits of forming and operating an LLC for your small business. Before we get into all of that though, if you are new to All Up in Your Business, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Keep in mind throughout this video, while I am a lawyer, I am not your lawyer. So the stuff I talk about in this video is not to be taken as a substitute for actual legal advice. If you need help with any kind of legal situation, you should consult with a lawyer who's licensed in your state. I'd also love to give a huge shout out and thank you to our friends over at Zen Business for partnering with us for this episode. More about Zen Business in just a minute. So operating your business as an LLC has a whole lot of benefit to it. One of the main benefits, I think probably the primary benefit, what most people go into it expecting, is limited liability, some liability protection. That's what the LL in LLC stands for, is limited liability. And then the C is company. And when you form an LLC for your business, what you're doing is creating a whole brand new separate legal entity that is separate from you as an individual, as a person. And so by doing that, you're separating the legal liability as well. So if the business gets sued or has some debts, liabilities, obligations, the idea is that all of that liability is with the LLC itself and not with you as the human, as the owner or member of the LLC. So your personal assets, your house, your car, your retirement accounts, your bank accounts, your investments, those are supposed to be protected from the liabilities of the LLC. Your liability really is capped at whatever you put into the LLC or whatever you agree to be liable for. And just that one benefit, that in itself really is a pretty good reason to form an LLC. And if you're going to do that, I always recommend working with a lawyer. That's the best option. But I know it's not always a realistic option for everybody. So if you can't or don't want to work with a lawyer, then I think the next best thing is to use a trusted service like Zen Business. Zen Business is an easy to use all-in-one platform that gives business owners everything they need to start and grow a thriving business. They handle all of the heavy lifting of starting the business, so you as the owner can really just focus on building the business of your dreams. One of the reasons I'm such a big fan of Zen Business is because they make it really easy. You don't have to be a lawyer like me or spend hours researching. Zen Business is going to guide you through the entire process. You just answer a few simple questions and then let them take it away and handle the rest. And then Zen Business isn't going to leave you hanging after the business is formed. Running a business isn't just about getting it started. There's a whole lot that goes into it with staying compliant and staying protected, upholding and maintaining that limited liability. Zen Business offers reliable registered agent service, so you never have to worry about missing an important legal document. They can help you with preparing an operating agreement and getting an EIN or tax ID number, which you'll most likely also need along with just forming the LLC. Zen Business even offers a worry-free compliance service, so you can stay on top of any important deadlines and never miss an important filing. And best of all, if you're like one of the many people who's on a pretty tight budget when you're starting your business, is Zen Business's affordable and transparent pricing. They really have some of the most competitive pricing options out there. In fact, Zen Business's starter package starts at $0 plus state filing fees. There really is an option regardless of your budget. Zen Business has clear upfront pricing, so you know exactly what you're getting and you're not going to run into any surprise or hidden fees throughout this process. Starting a business, forming an LLC can be really challenging, but Zen Business makes it a lot easier. So if you are ready to get started and form that LLC for your business, check out my affiliate link down in the description to get started with Zen Business today. And thank you so much, Zen Business, for partnering with All Up in Your Business. Moving on to the next benefit of forming an LLC is you get access to a lot of cool tax write-offs and tax deductions. deductions. Now, with all of these, it's really important that you work closely with a CPA or an accountant, a tax professional, because there's a lot of like rules and details and how this stuff works, limits. It's not just like a blanket, you get these deductions and that's it. It's important to work closely with a tax professional. But one of the deductions or write-offs you can take as an LLC, first off, is your startup costs. So the costs that you incur in starting your business and starting the LLC. You can write off up to $5,000 for that first year in startup costs. If you spend greater than $5,000 in startup costs and you have to kind of spread that deduction out over a number of years, again, talk to a tax pro so you do that correctly. In addition to your startup costs, you might be able to take a home office deduction if you're working from home and you have an office set up in your home. Again, there are rules for this and different ways that you can take a home office deduction, so talk to a tax pro. If you're renting an office space, that rent can be a tax deduction. Same with employees or contractors. If you hire people to help in your business, that payment to those employees or contractors, boom, tax deduction. If you drive, if you use your vehicle for business, another potential deduction. I told you to work with a tax pro. Hopefully you're gonna work closely with a lawyer as well. Those professional fees, also a potential deduction. And then let's say things like marketing, advertising expenses. A lot of things that go into starting, operating, and running your business can be a tax deduction. While we're on the topic of tax, another benefit of operating an LLC, this is compared to forming and operating as a corporation. One of the benefits of the LLC versus a corporation is some simplified tax reporting. Taxes are a bit easier and simplified compared to a C corporation, and you avoid double taxation that you would normally have in a corporation. An LLC, if it's a single member LLC, is considered a disregarded entity. LLCs generally are considered pass-through entities, so the IRS treats it basically as if the LLC doesn't exist when it comes to tax reporting. And like I said, there's no separate corporate tax and no separate corporate tax returns that you have to deal with. All of the taxes, the profits and losses, all of that is reported on Schedule C to your personal tax returns. Another benefit to forming an LLC is that you have the ability to start building business credit. The LLC can establish its own credit history as opposed to a sole proprietorship where all that credit history is going to be attached to you as the sole proprietor. With an LLC, the LLC has the ability to create its own credit, and that can help in obtaining funding and getting money for your business. And then in turn, that can help with making large purchases or otherwise investing in the overall growth of your business. On the topic of credit, the LLC can also help with separation and protection of your own personal credit. If the business, the LLC, is building its own credit history, then in most situations, what happens with the business's credit won't affect your personal credit. Unless, of course, you find yourself in a situation where you are personally guaranteeing a loan or like a credit card. And this is really, really common, actually, especially in the beginning stages of a business when you're just getting started. If you open up a business credit or a business credit card or take a business loan, you might have to give a personal guarantee, in which case your personal credit's still going to be affected potentially. But in the long run, or if you can avoid doing that, then you get that benefit of business credit not really impacting or having anything to do with your personal credit. Operating your business as an LLC can also make it a little bit easier to raise capital or get access to funding. The LLC isn't required. That doesn't mean you can't, let's say, get a loan or get capital somehow without the LLC, but it can help in that process. Really, because it makes it look like you're taking this business seriously. And if I'm lending money to a potential business, I want to know that it's being taken seriously. Along those same lines, operating as an LLC can also help to have more of a professional image, make your business more legit, make it look more serious compared to operating, let's say, as a sole proprietorship. Compared to, let's say, a corporation, an LLC has a lot of flexibility when it comes to management and the overall structure of the business. And there are also relatively minimal requirements and stuff you have to do compared to a corporation. If we're looking at should I form an LLC or a corporation, generally speaking, the LLC is going to give you more flexibility and less requirements. In most states, really all you have to do is file some kind of a report either annually or every few years. There's not a lot of must-dos versus with a corporation. Typically, most states, you have to have bylaws. You have to have annual meetings. You have to do this and that and all of this. Typically, that doesn't apply with an LLC. Makes things a little bit more easy for us small businesses just starting out. And finally, one of, I think, the biggest benefits that people don't really talk about enough is business continuity. Operating your business as an LLC allows you to look towards the future more and plan for the future of your business. If you have an LLC, you now have this thing that you can sell to somebody else. Or you can make plans for how it gets handled, how this business gets treated in the event that you die or become disabled or something, versus a sole proprietorship where you can kind of still do that, but it's more pieced up. You can't really sell a sole proprietorship. You can, but not so much like you can an LLC, because a sole proprietorship isn't a thing. It's more an accumulation of a bunch of stuff versus an LLC, which is more this box of stuff that you can sell or plan for and make preparations for the future of your business. And of course, along with that usually comes a lot of estate planning. So if you're looking to do that, it's a great idea to not only work with a business lawyer, but you'll also want to work closely with an estate planning lawyer. A lot of lawyers do both. I used to do both. So if you can, find a lawyer who does business and estate planning if you really want to make sure the future of your business is all set up. So in the end, operating your business as an LLC has a lot of benefit to it. There's a lot of good that comes along with forming and operating an LLC. And like I said, if you are in the market to form your LLC for your business, if you can't work with a lawyer, the next best thing is to work with a trusted service like Zen Business. Check them out using the affiliate link down in the description. And thank you, Zen Business, for partnering with us. And thank you for watching. If you learned a thing or two, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, comment, share this video with all of your friends, and you can check the description for links to additional information and resources. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I will see you next time.